Well, we're here at Indie Mix here going on to E3. We have this beautiful rooftop, and I just get to play your amazing game. A lot of cool throwbacks like Final Fight, Streets of Rage, Double Dragon. Tell us how'd you came up with the concept and like how you've been long you've been developing it.
Yeah, so back around, I guess, indie games started showing up in like 2008, and I kind of started meeting some people that were at like that were out at E3 actually. Like I met some of the indie devs, like people like Nathan Vella from Cappy, who are now huge, but he was like kind of like nobody knew his studio back then. And I was like, oh, these guys can make games. I can make games too. I was actually working at Rockstar at the time, doing trailers for them. And so I was like, you know what I haven't seen in a long time? Beat 'em ups. Like I love Double Dragon. I love Final Fight. Streets. I was not a Genesis kid, but I really do like Streets of Rage. I almost got a chance to work on Streets of Rage Revival, which got buried recently. But so I basically was like, okay, let's make a beat 'em up. And then I was like, oh well, you know what you want to do with a beat 'em up? You want to let's make some brown people be the heroes. And like as I got a little bit more political, and I was just also like, well, but beat 'em ups kind of have this limitation. Beat 'em ups are like, okay, well, you can't have a lot of moves because how could you have a lot of moves because you can't remember them all. And even in fighting games, like I'm lucky enough to be friends with the producer and head of the Tekken team, like Katsuhiro Arata. But it's like I don't know how to play Tekken that well because you got to remember 10 hit combos for every single person. And I just don't have that in me. So, but what do you do when you're doing that? It's you look at the menu. So I was like, what if instead of like having to remember all the moves yourself, you could pick them the way, and you use your own ingenuity as when do I need them? So that it's not about execution of like, it's not about twitch, it's about execution of your mind. But also you have to move around and you still have to be like, well, I don't want to get backed into a corner because you fought against one enemy. Enemies it goes up to 1 to 3 enemies. So then what if you have a guy who's kicking dirt in your eyes, a guy who's grappling you, and then like a guy who's like cheering them on, giving them attack boosts and whatever, and you're just like, well, who do I get rid of first? And it's like, you don't want to remember the moves, you want to remember the enemies, and it's all about, so all of our enemies have like, so I'm from New York, so all of the enemies have personalities, so they all have like bios, and we have little cutscenes when you didn't get to see the map, but you walk around a map, and you do like
well, the very beginning was Obama gets kidnapped, so very cool. I mean,
gets kidnapped, Blake Orama. All coincidence. Don't want to get sued.
No, you're fine. Prisoner figures you can.
Yeah, but it's like, so all of that.
It's a cool throwback because it's Double Dragon, the girlfriend got kidnapped, Final Fight, there was a daughter of the mayor, you know?
Dudes, the president gets kidnapped. That's the whole, are you bad enough dude to kidnap?
Dudes,
So we've got a lot, we actually have a throwback. We have a lot of graffiti in the game that I had to, so I'm from New York and I grew up around a lot of graffiti. But I was always told graffiti was bad, and then I started focusing on the history of graffiti, and then history and graffiti is hip hop, right? So I studied a lot of, and hip hop is like a new medium, so it was like, well, let me reach out to that, and so there's like a Rad Guys tag in the game, and there's tags that I created that I had to learn how to do graffiti. I was actually
getting like the 8-bit kind of form thing.
Yeah, because it's very heavily visually inspired by the original Double Dragon on Nintendo, because that game is an RPG. You can level up, and it actually lets you level up based on if you punch more, you get more experience. If you kick more, you get less experience. So if you do the easier thing, you might actually not be as good in the end of the game. So you get the jump kick a lot quicker if you punch people, but it's a lot more of a risky thing. So I wanted to make a game where that type of thought. Like, I don't know if I thought about that when I was a kid, but when I went back to it, I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, this is a meta game that, you learn as a designer when you really start thinking about all that.
Cool. So you got 3 characters basically. Let's go over their strengths and weaknesses.
So we have Lisa Santiago, who's the daughter of the chief of police, Antonio. We wanted to make a woman character who got away from the whole weak and quick, so then we made her the medium character, so she's got a lot of boxing moves and a lot of MMA moves. So she's got like, and I really tried to focus on, like, MMA is like new to me, but like I played a lot of like Pride on PS2 and whatever, and I followed a lot of it, so it's like she's got like close things where it's all about trying to do like close moves and judo throws.
The hip toss.
Yeah, you did the hip toss, yep. And like she has the skull crusher where she does a flying knee to the person's head, but it has a really low rate of like, it might miss, and then she just falls on the ground and you've just used a lot of your resources. We've got Brad, who's a professional wrestler came from Mexico, and he's got actually a bit of a backstory about how he was like technically an illegal immigrant, even though his parents were like Spanish royalty, but they kind of got kicked out of Mexico and they got forced out. So that's and it's funny because when I first came to E3 15 years ago, I was like an EB Games employee, and I had a friend from IGN message boards who was Mexican, and he was very like a light-skinned person who I was like, you don't look Mexican. He's like, you don't know what Mexicans look like. And I was like, I don't. I'm ignorant. Let's talk about this. And it's weird as a biracial person for me to be like, to say something like that. But, you know, I was 18. So, like, Brad's like a white passing dude, but the whole thing is he has like something deep in his heart. But he also, so he has to let it out by like, you actually get supers in the game, so you can like do a flaming lariat and just like light everybody on fire, but he does like pile drivers and vertical suplexes and all that stuff. Yeah, it's just like, and those things do heavy damage. And then you have Bruce, who's actually based on a guy I used to work with at EB Games, who knows like Jeet Kune Do like Bruce Lee, and he does capoeira, so he's like Law plus Eddie Gordo. But that's basically like my friend who actually still studies capoeira and actually started bulking up, so now he looks like a lot like the Bruce in our game, which is pretty funny.
That's cool. So very nice. So where do you want this to be? Where is it right now?
So right now we got it on PC and Switch, and those are our proposed like launch platforms. We're looking for like late summer, fall to release.
Cool. Well, where can people help out, social media wise, website, stay up to date?
Yeah. So I am a new challenger, NU challenger on Twitter. Like that's where I'm always on there. That's where I post the new trailer for this that we have. Beatdown_city on Twitter, and then beatdowncity.com is where you could check out updates. I actually just started our dev blog again. Nice. Just because, I don't know, when you're like two people working on something, I have to write we kickstarted this like 4 years ago. We wanted to release it in 2015.
I understand.
Yeah, and so it was like, you got to realize that like while I'm doing the art and I'm writing the game, I also then have to write all the marketing stuff and then edit the trailers and do all this stuff because we don't have a lot of stuff.
My media site, I do it all too.
Yeah, and I also just wanted to give a shout out to Zach, who's my PR guy, who like he's a good friend of mine, and he gave me some free PR. He like worked with people to get them to come over here. So we're just really excited to finally because we were at E3 with Sony forever ago for like PlayStation Mobile. Wow. That platform fell apart. Yeah. And then now we're back and we're at the Mix, and it's really awesome.
Cool. Well, make sure if you're a passionate fan about Double Dragon, Final Fight, Streets Raids, check out Beatdown City. I loved it. Thank you so much for taking your time to talk to us.